Please join with me. We gather together here today intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. Please allow us the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in our lives, and joy in our tasks. Please remember those of us who have passed from COVID and those who are ill with it today. And please give us the patience to listen to others. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Please call the roll.
Bell.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freeling. Here. Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman.
Here.
Majerick.
Here.
Meeks.
Here.
Scott.
Present.
Ballrath.
Here.
Werfel.
Here.
Yarborough.
Present.
Elliott.
Here. I believe we have communications.
There were no communications.
I thought we had one. I guess I was wrong. Okay. Well, then we'll move on to the audit presentation. I think I see Mr. Balderman and Mr. James is keeping you company. Please proceed.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time today. I will be brief. I know you're running behind. So we did meet with the Finance Committee just briefly, just a short time ago, and went over all of this. Just basically to kind of update you on how things went this year. This year's audit was performed, like last year, was performed on a remote basis. Hoping next year we'll be able to be back in the field more. We were able to issue, we issued on June 25th. We did issue an unmodified or a clean opinion, which is what you're looking for when you're getting an audit. It means that financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. And there is that level of materiality. We're not looking at every dollar, but we're just looking at things so that we can give you that opinion on the financial statements. We issue several reports. We issue one on the overall financial statements of the county. We also issue separate reports for the brownfield, the land bank, the pension system, and then also the other post-employment benefit system. We have separate reports on all of those. We also issue a report on the single audit. That report really kind of summarizes the results of everything that we have. Within that single audit report, you will find we report on two different things. We report on the internal controls of the county controls that we look at as a part of our audit and trying to come up with our opinion on the financial statements. So you have a report on that, and then you also have a report on your internal controls and compliance over your federal programs. This year, what was a little bit different was obviously there was a large amount of grants that came through this year related to the COVID-19 dollars. This year we tested the coronavirus relief funds, the CRF funds that you got. That was the major program that we tested. That entailed several different programs that the state had put out, what the revenue replacement money that you had, some of that money, the largest one by far was the public safety, public health payroll reimbursement program. So we tested all of those. On the single audit side, on those federal awards, we didn't have any findings. So it was a clean over that. We did have one finding that we talked about with the finance committee on the internal controls over financial reporting, but that was it. So in terms of other changes this year, differences from our audits, we did have to go through the process. Doug had to go through the process of implementing a new standard, GASB 84 on fiduciary activities that shifted some things around some that may or may not make sense to everybody, but it is what the standards say. There were some dollars that were shifted from what would have been called your agency funds are now shifted over, and agency funds no longer exist under the standards. They're now called custodial funds. But some of those dollars had to be shifted over into other governmental funds or the general fund. So there were some changes in what was accounted for in the general fund that didn't used to be. Probably the biggest one that had a dollar impact on the budget on the general fund would be restitution. It's the way the standards are written. It had to be moved over, but that's now accounted for in the general fund. So that was probably the biggest change, other than, of course, us having to look at all these different things, look at controls in a different way this year. But overall, pretty clean audit, glad again to be working with the county and working with Doug and the flexibility that the county had this year and working with us in these different times. So would be happy to answer any specific questions you may have on our audit, but that's kind of what I have.
Any questions around the horseshoe? Doug, did you have anything you wish to add? All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Balderman. We appreciate your help, appreciate your attention, and look forward to seeing your folks occupy a committee room for quite a while next year.
Right.
So,
all right. Thank you very much.
thank you.
May I say?
Ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to say to you, Nate Baldwin, I asked him how long had he been working with the company, and because I've been seeing him, for many years, and I thank you so much. I feel real good about you and your team because you know us, you know how we do things and all. And thank you, Doug James. So they made a presentation to us today at the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
I missed the approval of the minutes. So this would be for the 22nd, 2 weeks ago. Is there a motion to approve the board meeting minutes? Dave, moved by Vollrath, seconded by Werfel, we'll say. Close enough. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Public comments regarding resolutions. There's roughly 10 resolutions on the agenda. Comments would be limited to those resolutions. General public comments come later. Yes, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're from.
Good morning to everyone. I'm Commissioner Jerry Edwards of Benton Harbor. And my comments would be in regards to Resolution P 2108294. That's in regards to the parks, recreation, mental health, physical health, unity, getting people back out and enjoying the trailways, the riverways, and the different aspects of the county. I've mentioned this before, and one of the things I would like to solicit is support, and also want someone to help me frame it, would be called the Barron County Summer Olympics. In short, what we could do is what I'm visioning is that each event would be held in a different city, whatever city would like to participate in that Olympics. We know the violence and all kinds of things going on after things have been lifted. So I think it would be something very It would take those that are not already in the athletic association. They're not able to play in those Olympics, but look how many kids we do pick up that can't play or are not deemed good enough to play. Now they get a chance to represent each city throughout the whole county. So I'm just basically asking for support and someone to help frame all that out. It's a big vision, but I believe we can do it. Unity is the best thing to get it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Anyone have any comment on a agenda that's pending, or on the agenda resolution pending right now in front of the board?
Stone Township.
Yes, sir.
I'm in reference to 8.6. Leadership at the road department would like to add a part-time employee that can assist with administrative duties. Who's the leadership at the road department? And what happens? I understand there is no road department. I've been told that several times. So how can we have leadership at the road department when basically there is no road department? Thank you.
Thank you. Normally, I wouldn't respond, but it's the road commission that does not exist anymore. The road department is alive and well as one of many departments of Berrien County. And they report to the county administrator. Any questions about agenda items? Resolutions on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the consent calendar. No one has requested that we pull anything, so a motion would be in order to approve the consent calendar as submitted.
So moved.
Moved by Scott, is there support?
Second.
Seconded by Majerick. You got it in just in time, Michael. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Bell.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Freeling.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hinkleman.
Yes.
Majerick.
Yes.
Meeks.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Borath.
Affirmative.
Werfel.
Yes.
Yarborough.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes. Thank you. We had no added resolutions, so we'll go to committee reports. Madam Chair, would you like to lead off with finance?
Yes. What I would like to say is our visitor was the auditor Raymond Robson. And we had all the information and then you all have heard it. And that was our meeting. Thank you.
Great.
Yes, thank you, Mac. This morning, first we had Caitlin Samsel. Caitlin, our 911 director, talked to us about the Fema Grant, which is a great thing. We've been waiting for those grants. We've applied for those grants for years. We've gotten some, we have not gotten some, so that is definitely good news. We had Under Sheriff Chuck Height and Captain Rocky Adams in to see us this morning. All the commissioners receive an electronic version of this sheriff's report, but I'll hit the high points. This is just for the month of July. They booked 338 male inmates, 137 female inmates, for a total of 475 inmates for the month of July. Prisoner transports, the Sheriff's Department is constantly transporting prisoners to and from Jackson, to and from other facilities. And this month was no different than any other. They provide medical services to the jail folks. There was 134 on-site clinical visits, that's doctor and physician, 117 mental health contacts, and 37 emergency room referrals. They provided meals for the inmates. There were 29,583 meals prepared for the month. Under enforcement, during the month of July, the Berrien County Sheriff's Office handled 1,417 calls for service. That equates to roughly 45 calls per day. We have dedicated patrols in the city of Benton Harbor on 3 dates in the city for the month of June. There were 306 miles driven, 4 felony arrests and 9 misdemeanor arrests. There were a total of 41 calls for service in the city of Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor City, Benton Charter Township, Michigan State Police, they all have kind of joined together and do a cooperative effort to patrol the city and the area around the city in the summertime. Silver Beach, let's see, 17 days in July of 2021. During those, the officers wrote 61 citations. Now, there's a notation here that a majority of those were for illegal parking at Rocky Gap. So that may seem like a big number, but most of them were parking violations. And then, of course, the Sheriff's Department provides us statistics for the Detective Bureau, the Marine Division, and all the other activities that the Sheriff's Department performs. Any questions on the Sheriff's report? Okay. We approved our minutes. We have some resolutions for you. In fact, I think some of them were already approved today. Dealing with the M139 detour, we have a resolution 296 and 295, which acknowledges MDOT doing the same thing that we did. In other words, to reduce the speed limit and to put up the four-way stop sign. We did it, now MDOT did it, and we're acknowledging the fact that they did it. MIDC, this is our Indigent Defense Department. Remember Paul was here and told us that the MIDC had approved his budget. Well, this is the resolution to accept that. It is $4,077,849, of which the county's share is $569,469.67. So PHS, you can expect to see Paul in the very near future for those 3 positions. Then we have, from the Department of Health and Human Services, they issued a memorandum inviting Berrien County to apply for a Raise the Age grant. If you remember, a while back, the state took 17-year-olds and said, you're no longer adults, you're now juveniles, which pushed them into the juvenile system. And that created expenses for our juvenile division. So this is to apply for reimbursement up to $275,000. And we have a couple others that Commissioner Volrath will report out on. I don't remember. I just gave them to you. There were too many.
No, I know. Yeah, I've got a few of them here. One is a resolution that we all approved and signed. From the Office of the Highway Safety Planning has determined that Berrien County is eligible for traffic enforcement grant projects. So we're going to be applying for a grant up to $27,024 for alcohol enforcement, speed enforcement, and safety belt enforcement patrols. That will start October 1st, 2021 and run till September 30th of 2022. There are no indication where those patrols will be, so you're on your own. Get a designated driver. Resolution 210-8290, we all signed. They're looking to abandon a piece of property out in Hager Township. Everything has gone through the process at the township level, the county level, and it's a piece of property that's 50 feet by 442 feet. It's unimproved. It's noted as a public right-of-way, but I think it runs into a ravine. And the gentleman that owns that property has both sides, so they're all in favor of it out in Hager to have this just abandoned. So you'll be seeing that one. And then we've also got another abandonment of an alley in Benton Charter Township. The address is 1202 Territorial Road. And everything has been done and taken care of on the Benton Charter Township level and at the county level, and signed by our committee. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Dave. The last item I have for you is, and I don't want to steal Brian's thunder here, but we all received this invite to go tour the sheriff's current command vehicle. I provided to the members of the administration committee some proposals that the sheriff's department has received. I understand it was passed around, so many of you have seen those. So at least you have an idea. If you go over and see the old one, and then you have seen this and see what the new ones look like, big difference. Granted, there's a pretty good price tag to go along with that, but you know, these are vehicles that are gonna last 25, 30 years. It's not one that they're gonna replace on a regular basis. Now, we had the news media in our committee meeting, and she asked if she could go tour the vehicle as well, and I said, by all means. So if anyone else wants to go see what we have been using and want to talk to the sheriff or any of the sheriff's representatives about what we would like to have to replace that vehicle, I understand after the meeting that Captain Adams or Under Sheriff Height, someone will be over there to answer any questions and take you through the vehicle if you'd like to go see it. And that's my report.
Just as a follow-up to the board and to anyone that's interested, the vehicle's parked in the sheriff's office parking lot. It's at the corner of Church and Ship, give or take, 3 blocks from here. So it's right across the street from the jail.
I stopped this morning.
Questions for admin?
Question on that. What is the life expectancy from today's date moving forward for the vehicle we already have?
I think it's like negative 30 days.
Years ago, horses that towed it over here.
That's what they really don't use it because it's really falling apart. It was given to them in '05 from the health department.
Oh.
They beat it up and gave it to the sheriff.
It's a hand-me-down to
So
start
they
with.
really don't use it. I mean, but it's
To do the
classified as
dentists
what
and
it's
stuff
gonna
out
be.
of there.
And the next question that I have is it budgeted item for this year's budget? It is not. This will be for next year.
And it's also a fairly long lead time through the process of bidding. You'll go through the RFP process. It's likely to be a custom piece of equipment. So even if there was a desire to say, go get it today, you'd still have months between the bidding process, the assembly process. This will be, it'll be one of the sheriff's budget requests. My goal in working with the sheriff's leadership team is just, I think it's a whole lot easier to understand what is being asked if you've seen what we currently have. And just for the group's understanding, the reason I'm asking you to go over there and not here is we don't feel as staff we could get it here safely just due to some of the turning radius issues. So this was used by the health department as a warming station for their vaccine clinic. There was discussion between sheriff's office and health department about moving it down to Niles for a vaccine clinic. The decision was made not to do that because we weren't confident that it could safely travel that distance.
So I guess that refers back to my first question. What is the life expectancy? And you're telling me there is no life expectancy, but it's on next year's budget, but it could also be coming out of funding this year immediately. Is that what you're saying? That could happen?
What I would encourage is let's have you all take a look at it. If there's a desire to more aggressively move on the bid spec development, that's something we can certainly work with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ezra, I bought milk yesterday at Meijer. The shelf life of that milk is probably longer than what you're asking.
And that may be, but that's why I was asking, is this something that has to be done immediately and taken out of contingency? Because if we were to have a disaster or something happen and that vehicle then is not available, it behooves us as a county to move forward with what we're going to have to replace something. I'm not a big fan of just spending money, but on the other hand, we're a disaster away from a disaster, not getting the command vehicle there. That was my concern.
So,
Sheriff,
To follow up on that, the nice thing is you do have some time. So we'll go through a very orderly bid process. If an event were to occur where a command vehicle is absolutely needed, we do have the command vehicle. We would work to get it there. We can also make arrangements through the Pokagon Tribe, the Michigan State Police, and then potentially surrounding counties to have additional resources brought to the table.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're going to see this, so we have something to discuss.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Don,
I want to say something on justice to Commissioner Scott. If we had a hand-me-down from 2005 to 2021, that's 16 years. So I think it probably over maybe 20 years or longer. So maybe that answer your question.
I don't have a problem. I'm just saying.
Well, I just want to put my comment on, probably over 20 years.
Jim.
Well, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but the sheriff's department is going to make a formal presentation to us, so you can see the material I handed out to you. They've got a formal presentation that they're going to do to the board.
So you will have a good idea of the vehicle that they're looking at. And I think that to address Ezra's concern, we have ARPA money and we need to decide how we're going to spend it. That would be an ideal place to spend some of that ARPA money. So when you say this year's budget, next year's budget, is it a budgeted item? No, but there could very well be funds available to it. And I think something like this, a capital expense, is an ideal place for some of that ARPA money. So I'll be supportive of this.
Discussion 2 weeks ago out at LMC at the Todd Center, is that what they call it now? It used to be WMU. So that's certainly on the radar. Any other questions for admin? If not, Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also met this morning. Two of your resolutions that we approved were reviewed by us again, one dealing with the veteran services and the other with the health department contractual services for communication support. We also considered an advanced step higher for the health department. This is for team parenting staff. And so it's a budgeted vacancy, and they've identified a very qualified individual, and they wanted to hire him up into the scale a little bit. So we did review that and approve that. We've already heard from Mr. Janka, and so he's been very diligent in moving through the process. With the complement change for the Public Defender's Office, this is consistent with the state-approved grant for the department. And so we did review that and approve that. And so that would, we also talked about looking at in greater detail the health plan for the county employees as well as the salary study. So they are scheduled on our agenda here in the next several weeks.
Very good. Questions for PHS? All right. Commissioner reports. Amy, do you want to lead off?
Yes, I do. I have a lot to tell. It's been a very busy time, and I'd like to let you know that on Monday, I attended the Farm Bureau breakfast, annual breakfast, and the speaker was our commissioner, Terry Freeling, and she did an excellent job talking about the broadband and got to talk about the questionnaires and all those kinds of things. And the audience was very receptive to and agreed that there is a real need. From the numbers you said we were 99% and find out we're 9% of coverage. So it was an excellent presentation. I was real proud. I was thinking, that's our commissioner. And then we had speakers there. Representative Pauline Wenzel was there. She knows about broadband and is working in Lansing on it. Fred Upton knows about broadband and is working in Washington, D.C. on it. And then Dan Carrick was the representative for State Representative Lasada. And they all updated us on many things. So it was a real good meeting. And then I want to let you know that on Tuesday, I attended a groundbreaking, and it's for the new apartments that are being built by Whirlpool. I worked in housing for 30 years, and I've known forever that there is a need for multifamily market rate properties because so many people are looking and they have to go somewhere else. So for this to be being built and the ground to be turned at Transworld Volkswagen property in Benton Harbor, Michigan, I was real pleased about that. Our Governor Gretchen Whitmer was there, and there you'll see pictures in the paper and on Facebook, and it was just a beautiful day, weather-wise, whatever was happening wise, the reason, and there were many elected officials there and business people. And there is a bridge that was built on that property going over to Inn at Harbor Shores. And many people are saying, what is this bridge for? Well, yesterday we used the bridge. There was a tent there, plenty of parking space. We walked over the bridge to get to the food and drink. And so it was just a real good use of the property and for you to see the things that are going to happen. So I'm so thankful that it's happening in my community, a much need. And they talked about young people that will work there and whatever, but it's open to the public to apply. And my thought, because of my age and my friend's age, we will be extremely desirable. There are people that are 55 and older that do not need to be in a nursing home, but they're in a big house, children gone, they need to downsize, they need a place where they can be and leave for months and go to Florida and come back. There's an elevator, it's 4 stories. It will be 80 units. And so I'm encouraging my friends and people, of the age to look at applying there too. I live in a building now, there are only 6 units, but I'm the elderliest, oldest person there. But it has worked out. They're not too noisy and I'm not too noisy. So it's not about that. It's about, having good people. And then the afternoon of Tuesday, I went to a Cornerstone Alliance event, and they shared with us Southwest Michigan, the studies and things they've been doing. And I was able to get the information. I have enough to give to commissioners. I'm sorry I don't have any for audiences, but they are available at Whirlpool or whatever, and at Cornerstone Alliance. So I did what it asked. With my brochures, I gave them to our Sergeant at Arms, and he will see that you each have one of those. And enough for, hopefully for Brian and for the clerk, and for Annette for sure. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Ezra?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I too attended the Farm Bureau's legislative breakfast, and it was a wonderful program put on by Commissioner Freeling with all of the statistics and the numbers that we need to know in order to improve the broadband throughout Berrien County. And I also attended, as I am a member appointed by this board, to the Southwest Michigan Solid Waste Consortium. We deal with solid waste, such as the landfills and also the recycling. The Southwest Michigan Solid Waste Consortium is 7 counties. It's Allegan, Van Buren, Berrien, Cass, St. Joe, Branch, and Calhoun. And right now, some of the things that we're going through there is an update on Part 115 legislation through the state. And that has to do with more of materials management oversight and the recycling of just our recycling programs, and also that they've added the composting through that. So we're looking at our recommendations there. A couple of things that came up that is of interest to this board and to the county administrator is it has been many, many years since we've had an audit of our books. And even our bylaws says we're supposed to do an audit, but as you happen to know, or some of you do know or don't know, the membership of these 7 counties is basically $500 a year to be a member, so that the invoice is submitted to each county and then a check is cut to the consortium, and that's what we run our budget off of. So we don't have that much money. It's really simple. But we decided that with what money we do have, let's follow our bylaws and we'll do an audit. The problem is who determines what county does the audit. So we figured that since we're out of the Pawpaw area, that's where we meet, that the Van Buren County Administrator was there, and he's gonna be looking into getting the auditor who does the Van Buren County books to look at ours. I mean, it should only be about a 10-minute audit. You know, we don't have any expenses or anything. And the other thing that we looked at was our interlocal agreement with the counties. They're looking at a few minor changes to that, but according to our bylaws, any changes to the interlocal agreement will have to be voted on by this board for Berrien County and for the other commissioners from the others. So we're looking at making sure that we get every little itty bitty change that we want in there, so we only have to do it once. And so I will keep you updated on that as that goes, and that's my report.
Commissioner Meeks and I had gone to the Substance Use Drug Abuse Policy Board, and they went over a lot of numbers and their financials. And though all budgets are pretty much down because they haven't been doing so much with the COVID, their revenues are down also. But they expect to, because they've been dipping each year into their plans and taking money out of their contingency funds, they're now hoping that the CARES Act will fill them back up again shortly. With that, suicides are stable. Drug overdoses are up, especially with the fentanyl. And the big concern they had pretty much, and they did a presentation, is gambling. Over the COVID months, a lot of people turned to gambling. Also, because of the online gambling that was okayed, that's up like 20%, and they're concerned, which is like, it's up to 130 something million. And that's pretty much it. After that, everything's as normal as going on.
Well, I wanted to say that Mamie and Mike make my job a lot easier because they didn't miss anything. And I said, okay, so they done my report. That's it.
I, too, attended the legislative breakfast and will echo their thoughts. But it was also a great opportunity to talk to some of the farmers in my community. And once again, I did hear from them regarding the M139 project and how money is being spent, and is it being spent properly, and did that culvert really need to be done, and MDOT and changing the road and all of those things that we've been hearing. But the farmers are very concerned about that. And then I also, over the past week, was able to help honor the Community Action Agency employees for all their work during the pandemic. We had a little celebration with that group, and from all three counties, from Berrien, Van Buren, and Cass. And that was a great honor to help honor those people. I'll leave it on.
Okay, just like to say that we lost one of our leaders in North Berrien County. Jim Palachik passed away. He was a mayor of Paloma the last 7 years, and his health deteriorated where he couldn't run anymore. And he's been a leading man in many of the organizations in the North Berrien, Coloma, Watervliet area for many, many years, and he'll be sadly missed. I've known the man for over 50 years, and he's a very, very fine quality man, and we're going to miss him. I also attended the Pawpaw River Water Trail meeting, first one they've had in person in quite a while. They have put up signs from Watervliet through Coloma and down. I'm not sure if they made it all the way into Benton Township, but every quarter mile they're putting the markers up so people have an idea, where they're at on the river. They've already used it a couple times. Coloma North Berrien Fire Department has saved a couple, pulled them off the river using the information that they got from the paddlers on the river. So that's working well. And then they also, Berrien County has helped provide some signs for the roads, and the overpasses. The only one I guess they couldn't do was this M140. The state wouldn't allow them to put a sign on that yet, but the other roads, I think there was 11 or 12 bridges that now are marked, so the paddlers are going down. They can see it coming this way, and if they don't happen to be looking when they're trying to get under the bridge and stuff, they turn around, they can see those. So those are going really well, and the communities are still all chipping in. They've had some issues with the logs and the trees falling in even as we speak, but they're keeping it cleared pretty well, and the whole thing is going extremely well. We did get an award, and Christopher will be here in a week or two to present an award to us in person and on that topic. So that's all I got, Jim.
I'm glad to hear Dave say that, because it was a Q&A or QA session probably a year and a half to 2 years ago on a missing kayaker or drowning or something of that nature. And out of the QA came mile markers like you have out on the highway, because the way that water runs through there, people have no idea where they're at. And to hear you say that, to see that it actually did come to fruition is I think, a great thing, because I think it's going to help save a lot of lives. So they know.
Fire department's extremely bad.
Yep, that's good. We had our first cook drill exercise, if you want to call it that. It was basically an orientation for the first one. We're doing a very abbreviated exercise this year because of the pandemic, because we have not been meeting in the EOC in person. This is really kind of the first event where we've gotten a lot of folks into the EOC. Didn't get them all, but we did get quite a few. And I can assure you that the EOC is well-equipped, well-manned, and well-run. We do a good job out there. Rocky does, and the sheriff. So, and I'm surprised Commissioner Volrath didn't give a shout out to Carol's Hope that Brian talked to us about. Well, we supported Carol's Hope. We put a golf team into the scramble, and I think we ended up winning, didn't we?
17 under.
There you go. So we did the county proud, and we won a couple of prizes, so we had fun. That's my report.
Thank you. So I too attended the legislative breakfast, got there a little tardy, but had a good time, spoke with some people. I also attended the groundbreaking ceremony along with Commissioner Yarborough, Commissioner Meeks. It was good for the community to come out for such a great project. Good chatting with our governor and our congressman and state representative. And I also on that day attended the National Night Out for our local law enforcement communities. It was good fellowshipping with St. Joe Township Police Department, and as well as I went to the Benton Harbor National Night Out as well. And both communities have expressed the appreciation that the help they get from the county sheriff's department, in the law enforcement community. So that was a great event. I also talked with Commissioner Edwards about his idea for the countywide Olympics. I think that is a great idea, and I think we as a board should look into it to see what he has planned, because I think we need to engage our youth here in the county more, to help them feel, a communal type of environment in the county. I think we need to engage with our youth. And also let us remember that one of the former mayors of Benton Harbor, Dr. Wilsie Cook, he passed away this week. He was a good man to the community. And I think a lot of us share good memories with him. And that's my report.
So I also attended the EOC orientation training session, and that went very well. Also, I attended the health board meeting yesterday. It was covered quite well in the Herald Palladium today. There were 16 different speakers, primarily parents who either endorsed or disagreed with any recommendations regarding masking of students as they start to go back to school. My compliments to Peg Coring, the chair of the board. She ran, I think she kept things moving right along and did a good job managing all the opportunity for input from our citizens. The other thing I'd like to note, Guy, Courtney had a few of the slides regarding some of the data that they've gathered at the health department. Guy did a nice presentation and went into far greater detail. And we might want to contact them if you enjoy looking at data and trying to sort out what it means. He's actually, it was a very good orientation, I think, not just for the health board, but also the individuals in attendance. And then also I did receive a number of calls, emails regarding COVID with our citizens, as well as the superintendents of several of the school districts. So it was kind of a busy couple of days here.
Yeah. Thank you. I too attended the Farm Bureau Legislative Breakfast. I had the privilege of being asked if I could come and speak on the work that the county's been doing on the broadband initiative. And so I gave them an update, and I apologize, my voice, it's allergy season. So, but I gave them an update on the executive report and some of the other work that we've been doing. The only thing that I would add to that conversation for us to consider as a board is making certain that we are ahead of the game. Projects for broadband from other municipalities and other communities are starting to fall on the radar, and I want to make certain that Berrien County is on the forefront of that. So that's my report.
Okay, Brian, did you have anything to add?
No, sir.
We'll go to general public comments now. Anything under the sun in 2 minutes or less. Name and where you're from, please.
Tony Van Hart, Sodas. Why is it that Whirlpool gets grants, Whirlpool does this, Whirlpool does that? How many jobs, factory level jobs, has Whirlpool taken away from this community over the years? St. Joe, a couple years ago, oh, we don't want to expand the harbor. Seems as though this area has turned into nothing but a recreational area for the rich and famous out of Chicago, wherever. There's no manufacturing jobs in here to speak of at all. Clark is gone, Whirlpool's gone, Everett Piano up in South Haven's gone. I mean, there's nothing here to attract anybody other than quote unquote recreation. We talk about parks, we talk about trails, we talk about beaches. Not one word about about real jobs.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Helter, Hager, the great state of Hager. Okay, I got some comments to make now. You know, I don't like the way it's set up. Those people back there, they're looking at my butt. That's not right. How would you like it if I turned the thing around and was talking to those people and you had to look at my back end? Now, we're gonna have to do something about this. I suggest put it over there, then have it facing this way. So you can see half of his butt and we see the other half. Or maybe put it way over there in the corner. Maybe move the table out a little bit so we walk back there. Then everybody gets a chance to look at it. Okay, so please work on it. This is, now I'm insulted sitting back there and looking at the guy's back. No, this is supposed to be democracy, right? Okay, I got another point to make. Now, where is our council over there? How come we don't have a corporate council like we had before? When that last guy left, you guys didn't replace him, did you? When we have a meeting like this, there should be a lawyer right over there. Then when we have some questions, he should be able to answer some, or when you have some questions, you can ask him directly instead of waiting till the next meeting. So I suggest, I don't know what happened to him. Did you replace him or not? Did you just use somebody partial?
We have corporate counsel on retainer.
Yeah, but I'd like to see him in here.
They're right here. We can talk softly, they hear us, and they respond quickly.
He didn't hear just what I said, did he?
He hears everything. So, but no, yeah, Adolph, we have a firm acting as corporation counsel, and they are up to speed on what's going on every day. And we're involved in communication every day. It's just we don't necessarily have someone sitting in the meeting anymore like we did when we had an employee here in the building. So, but that spot is full. So, anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Again, name and where you're from, and 2 minutes or less.
Hi, Matt Kirkus, New Buffalo. I'm trying to read quickly so I can get through this. It's only a page and a half, so. I promote Robert F. Kennedy, children'shelpdefense.org, and the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, AAPSonline.org, who provide medical solutions to this bioweapon. The fact that none of you are banging the ivermectin, zinc, D3, quercetin, melatonin, fluvoxamide drum show how much any of you really care to help. Here in one sentence, I will do more good than all your local suicides and health officials caused. Buy a pulse oximeter so you could detect early and treat easily. But that doesn't usher in a new track and trace social credit passport, does it? The first thing I say when I discuss this is don't confuse morality with our legal tradition. You can make arguments about natural law crimes. However, this legal system is in fact created for liberty, not morality. So even if your vaccine worked and a virus was as dangerous as claimed, the argument must be viewed against individual liberty with inherent skepticism against the state. Commerce should be regulated, however, we and our usufruct are not commerce. The Supreme Court claims that our gardens are commerce since we don't have to go to the store. Tyranny is not new here, it is only progressing. We know big business controls government, not the other way around. Will you bring your guns to shut down the small businesses that refuse to close next time? Power is not authority, which is why I won't even placate any legitimacy of this corrupt state. So let's begin. Richard Dagger says about communitarianism. According to one line of thought that developed at the time, the primary threat to community is the movement from the settled family-focused life of villages and small towns to the unsettled, individualistic life of commerce and cities, which may lead to greater influence and personal freedom, but at the cost of alienation, isolation, and rootlessness. Tunney's, with his distinction between community and society, has been especially influential in this regard. Community, as he defined it, is an intimate, organic, and traditional form of human association. Society is impersonal, melancholic, and rational. To exchange the former for the latter, then, is to trade warmth and support for coldness and calculation. I'm going to skip a section for time. Is your head spinning? The point is made nonetheless. This runs deep, and sentiment as well as expert and moneyed interests are high to justify communism, collectivism today. Here is the last sentence of the thing I skipped here. Social democracy was not a rejection of liberalism, but its fulfillment, a realization that Enlightenment principles could only be realized fully through collective agency. We are approaching the fulfillment of our version of private-public money monopoly materialism cloaked as individualism now. I am looking forward to Comcast public housing and Bill Gates organic gardens. Billionaires control politics and the military and all the institutions. This is only a fulfillment of longstanding plan. For my last example, this will further... Yeah. Oh, great, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Aaron Sheriff, Whitestone Township. If I look confused, it is because I am confused. And it comes partly because of age, which is inherent. But anyway, I'm still concerned about this road department issue. Here it says, whereas the road department heads are charged with reviewing personal competence to ensure efficient operations. Okay. Then it says leadership at the road department would like to have a part-time employee that can assist with administrative duties by several functions within the road department. Okay, where is the road department? And who is the leadership of the road department? These people took over the road before. When you took that over, you assumed the duties of the road commission. At least that's what we were told. And we were going to become the road commission and assume all of the duties of the road commission. That isn't happening. You people are not assuming any responsibility for the roads. And it's all now into what you call the road department. So where is the road department? Who's the leadership of the road department? And how do I get in contact with them? And why are we hiring a person to work within the road department when I don't even know where the road department is, if it even exists? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, other business. Anybody have any other business? Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask about December. I want to ask about September 2nd. There was a question about whether or not we should be open or, whether we should have a meeting or not on that Thursday. That is the week of or preceding Labor Day. And I look and I saw where there are 5 Thursdays in that month. We don't meet on the 5th Thursday. I'm wondering, and Administrator just said, I want you to kind of be in this too, that we could meet on the 5th Thursday, or maybe there's not a need to do that. So I would like very much for, if not that, I'm saying close the county Thursday, Friday, Monday, but not to have to do all that work and preparation they do for our meetings before that time.
Just to clarify, you're not saying we close the whole operation down?
Right,
Just skip the board meeting on the 2nd?
yes.
Okay, I mean, I imagine there's some people around the place who'd be thrilled if we said, yeah, we're gonna give you a 5-day weekend or something. I wouldn't mind that.
I think that's a good idea.
But yeah.
That's not what I'm
But it's
asking.
the board meeting currently scheduled on the 2nd of September,
Yes,
and you're wondering why not cancel the 2nd leading into the Labor Day weekend
yes,
and meet on the 30th instead?
yes.
What's the sense around the table?
As staff, I would recommend that if the board is willing to consider that, it's something that I know that we have several staff members that would take advantage of it. You do have 5 Thursdays in the month of September. We'd happily do the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, the 30th, if the board is agreeable.
Anybody have a problem with that?
No, Mac, I'd just like to comment on that. Rather than put the 30th in there, I would be very comfortable on not meeting on the 2nd. And if we needed to have the 30th because something would have come up, and if it was of a need, we could do it. But if not, I'm good either way.
Would you be okay if we just go ahead and schedule the 30th, and as we approach the end of the month, if it looks like we don't need it, we can cancel it?
I'm good.
I personally would rather meet on the 30th, but that's just.
Okay. All right. Does the board need to,
I didn't hear what John said.
you'd like to keep the meeting on the 30th and not meet
No,
on the
I'm
2nd?
sorry. Not, keep that as the 5th Thursday and not be there.
And not meet?
Not be
Oh,
there.
okay.
Okay,
That's what I would prefer to do.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm fine with that.
Well, no one's emotionally wedded to anything here. Do you want to meet on the 30th or leave that off?
Your suggestion to not meet on the Labor Day and then keep it tentative on the 30th is fine. As suggested, is it imperative that we meet on the 30th? If it's possible not to, that would be fine.
All right. Is this something I do, or does it take the whole board to modify the calendar?
To keep it clean, what we would do is just bring the calendar at your next week's meeting and just ask for a resolution to approve the updated calendar.
Okay, and I won't be here next week.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted us to have a final of it.
And
It's come up a couple of times, let's make it final, what we're gonna do.
Okay, and I will early vote to have the meeting tentatively scheduled for the 30th, understanding if we don't need it, as we get into the month of September and you say, we really don't have anything, then we'll just cancel it. So, all right, any other business?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
September
August 19th.
August, I'm sorry, for August 19th. And then I read something about it would be 6 o'clock, but you wanted to meet earlier because we're gonna go for a ride. Would you straighten that out for us?
Yeah, so I'll be working with staff to put together a formal plan for you. Earlier this week, I was in communication with the township supervisor, David Bunty, on some of the arrangements. It looks like we're going to have the meeting in the fire bays at the township hall. That'll allow for space for as many people who want to attend to be there.
The new place?
No.
No,
Oh, I'm gonna be lost again?
no.
I do it on purpose. No, I
I'll send an
don't.
address, and our intent is, we've got some legwork to do, but our intent is to have you all meet there a little bit early, hop into a bus and drive sections of Red Arrow Highway so that you all have a chance to see it prior to discussion.
I know what the township hall is.
But I'll have a whole bunch more information coming to you all in the coming week.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I know.
All right. Do you have anything else, Amy?
I've been busy.
I guess. Well, I know, we talked earlier. Anyone else have anything? Jim?
Yeah, Matt, I'm just kind of curious on the proposed Olympic idea for the county. Does he talk to Jill? Does he talk to Dan? Does he talk to Brian? I'd kind of like to hear more.
Yeah, so I'm going to chat with Jill about it, and first thought was see if we can pull in the Boys and Girls Club to see if they would have interest in partnering. Jill and I went and met with the new CEO of the Boys and Girls Club probably 3 months ago, and it seems like a perfect follow-up conversation to have.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Let's try announcements and reminders. I don't have any. Does anyone have anything that they want to remind us of or make an announcement about? Ma'am.
Berrien County Youth Fair is coming up August 16th. Through the 20th, 21st actually, so.
It'll be nice to have that up and running again.
Absolutely.
Where else can you eat way too much cotton candy and other stuff, corn dogs, and
I get in the long run.
go home and feel like you have a hangover the next morning from all the sugar. So, right.
Right.
Okay, well then we'll be adjourned.
One last reminder to commissioners and public, Captain Adams is over at the parking lot, and I just texted him saying about 5 minutes, people will be heading that way. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. So we're going to be adjourned to next week, and I will see you all in 2 weeks.
Okay.